Hey everyone, and thank you for joining me. It's winter time, and in many places in Middle Europe you can watch bramblings, big colorful finches who are winter guests here. I'll do some sketches of them in my sketchbook and a detail painting in watercolor later. I'm starting with pencil, studying the birds in different poses. I quickly draw the silhouette and then move on to the next bird. This helps me to understand how these birds sit and move around. And I'm speeding things up a little bit for you here. And after I'm finished with my sketches, I add ink on top of a few of them. And this makes for a more interesting sketchbook page. On one drawing, I add watercolors, very quick and loose. I'm using a few colors from my watercolor field palette here. Quinacridone gold, quinacridone red, neutral gray, and a bit of indent-thrown blue. I add loose watercolor washes over my drawing and add another layer with details, particularly in the head and wing area of the bird. I try to memorize how the dark patterns are organized on the wings and around the head, adding a bit of highlights here and there with white gouache. And I add color to another bird pose and trying to grasp the essentials and not every bit of detail. I make sure I add a few details around the eye and the face of the bird though. One of the key things for doing a quick sketch like this is not to get too caught up in details at this stage. You can see that I've also added a bit of a toned background for the second bird to help the light parts in the belly stand out. And adding the last bit of details with ink. For my detailed drawing, I've chosen another pose and I make another pencil drawing, but bigger this time, making sure I get the measurements and shapes right. I usually trace my finished drawing to have a light drawing on my watercolor paper. I start the painting with very light washes and I've switched my quinacridone colors from the sketch to burnt sienna, which I feel matches the red color of the breast better. I add water to the paper surface and drop small amounts of color into it and spread it around to make really diluted, transparent washes. I do the same for the gray in the head area, and I try to add a dark spot for the eye right away. And I'm adding even more contrast with the gray where I paint the dark pattern around the eye and the dark wing feathers. This bird has a complicated wing pattern that I try to match as closely as I can without getting lost in the details. Bit by bit I add darker layers and details in small strokes, sometimes smoothing out the brush strokes again so that the bird doesn't look too wiry in the end. I add white with a very small brush for the highlights and to redefine the light feathers. I add the dark marks on the belly with a light grey wash and the pattern on the scapular feathers. This is a female bird, so the neck is light brown instead of red. Now I'm painting the feet, which don't need that much detail, and another bit of white around the belly to make the feathers look a bit more fluffy. Again, I smooth out some of the details with a larger brush loaded with a watery burnt sienna mix. The sketches and the painting each took about 1 hour in total. Bramblings are guests in Europe only in the winter, and they breed in Scandinavia in summer, so they often feed in groups when they come to these more southern regions. Thank you for watching. Please like and share the video if you found it helpful, or subscribe to my channel. See you soon. Bye.